And good morning to you. And wouldn't you take a moment to look around and say happy Thanksgiving weekend to somebody? And don't shake hands, it's not the season for shaking hands. Last Thursday was Thanksgiving, and I had a wonderful time. I got to have dinner with friends, and at the dinner, a 6-year-old led us in doing something that probably many of you also did at your dinner table. And she asked us the question, what are you grateful for? And she wasn't happy just going around once the table. She wanted to hear a second time around, and in doing that, I remembered such a simple question is capable of generating such beautiful feelings. And I also remembered how important it is to feel those feelings, the feeling of thank you, because it can really make things better in this world for you, for me, for everyone. You know, gratitude and joy and thanksgiving and appreciation and love. It's what life is all about, and it's all connected. And it is important to feel that gratitude for the things that are in our lives, for the people who are in our lives, for having our needs met, for feeling loved, for our planet and its resources and the creatures on it. I think it's important because it teaches us appreciation. And it helps us to not take people and things for granted. And it reminds us to cherish what we have and to feel all the joy that goes with it all. And it also reminds us that there comes a time in every person's life when they have to face the loss of one or all of the things of life. And then we get to ask an important and serious question. When the things of life change or go, does my joy go with them? Now, people who have lost everything in the fires this year and last year have a lot to teach us about that, about the question of what remains when everything else is gone. I received a gift, and it says, "This sign is all that survived the complete destruction of our home." And it's a sign that says, love is all there is. That's all that remains. It still has the burn marks on it. And it comes with a letter saying, before Ellen died, we were fortunate to celebrate her life with her on June 1st. She sang and spoke to hundreds of people who came from around the world to be with her. Her motto or slogan in life was, love is all there is. Substitute God or beauty or oneness if you wish, but this seems to be true. Every book, teaching, inspirational work I have ever experienced has always had this same message. In her memory, we started a fund by sharing these metal signs so that disadvantaged children could have art and beauty in their lives. We also want to acknowledge our community's compassionate care response. And you are one, so please accept this sign as a gift of appreciation. And that comes from Danny. Whew, that's a lot. You know, we've been learning this year and now in years to come to dig deeper into this idea of what gratitude is. Because on the surface, thank you is for something received. And below the surface, there is also a deeper gratitude that isn't for anything at all. It's about a feeling of deep connection to life, just as it is, and just as it is not. You know, with or without the things of the world, can I still connect to gratitude, joy, appreciation to what remains. Well, in times of tragedy, maybe not right away, not immediately afterwards, but I'm guessing that there comes a time eventually, and this is certainly true for my life, there comes a time where I realize that thank you is both for something that is received and also it's a feeling that stands alone by itself. It exists within us without conditions. It's a way of being. It's there in the good times and in the bad times. It's an appreciation for the things that we value even when they're not present. In other words, it's not caused, it's discovered. And it's discovered because it is the permanent foundation upon which all life is built. I have 4 ideas I want to share with you today about all of this that's helped me to integrate it. And the first is this: deep, abiding joy doesn't come from having a perfect life. Although I suppose that could help, depending on what your definition of perfect is, And besides, if you've been around for long enough, you probably have already noticed that waiting for a perfect life to be grateful for is not as satisfying as accepting the imperfect life as something worth loving, worth celebrating, worth enjoying, worth sharing. Deep, abiding joy doesn't always come from endlessly improving yourself. Although I suppose that can help too. I'm open to that. I got very fit cycling from San Francisco to Los Angeles. I did it 4 years, I put thousands of miles on that bike. Oh my goodness. I felt a lot of self-esteem from doing it. I was very happy because I felt physically amazing. And my happiness was connected to that accomplishment and my fitness. I was very proud of what I achieved. And there's nothing wrong with that. And lately I noticed that my happiness around that was a little bit wobbly, and I'll tell you why. Because this year I decided I'm going to take the year off from cycling. I'm going to take a break. And so I haven't been on my bike for 6 months. Yeah. Do you know how far things can droop in just 6 short months? I was not happy with those changes, with the loss. Now you get the idea, right? I'm using that for a much bigger consideration because there are questions that arise for me. What is stopping me from connecting with that joy that I had? What is stopping me from appreciating the majesty of California that I cycled through today? What is stopping me from respecting the camaraderie of those cyclists who will cycle? And what is stopping me from respecting the funds that will be raised? Not a thing, really. So where does my joy come from? Sometimes I focus on what's not in my life. When I was a child, I would do that. You know how it is sometimes when we're children, everything revolves around us. Did you have that phase? Yeah. And in that phase, minor setbacks can seem like major tragedies. Oh, I remember a time when I was sobbing about something very important, and I can't remember what it was. But I do remember that I was devastated at the time, and I was crying to my grandmother, who as she always did, just listened patiently. And when I was done, she said to me without any judgment and just quietly and very kindly, she said, "Edward, you have nothing to complain about." Oh, I've never forgotten that moment. Oh, that has been an important lesson for me to take it in. Really, what do I have to complain about? No, I'm not denying what needs attention and what's wrong in the world and what's wrong in my body. And besides, we've just spent 2 whole months, August and September, talking about the difference between being in denial and knowing the spiritual truth. We know that. What I'm really talking about is another way of approaching life by asking the question, where does my joy come from? And if I want lasting joy, well, where am I looking for it? Circumstances are not lasting, so don't look there. Things aren't lasting, so better not look there. Oh, my joy, I learned right here, is going to have to come from somewhere or something that is permanent, unchanging, eternal. And I learned right here. So I have got to look inside for my joy, and when I find it, I got to share it. I have learned right here, I have got to depend on spirit for my sense of self and nothing else. I learned right here that I'm to enjoy this world without being tricked into thinking that my love comes from it. No. I bring the love that is divine to this life through my living. I get to share what I have. I get to create solutions. I get to connect the dots and discover meaning. I get to do what I can with what I've got, where I am, and feel the joyful gratitude that is in that. Oh, what a trip. In our youth and family ministry, we have a candle lighting ceremony in which the teachers and children say, God is life, I am life. God is light, I am light. God is peace, I am peace. God is joy, I am joy. God is love, I am love. God is beauty, I am beauty. God is power, I am power. And all of these things that God is, I am. And then today we can add to that, and that is why I have this quiet sense of joyful gratitude. And it's not a happy, peppy, loud, jump up and down kind of thing, although it could be that too. But to me, it's more like a secret that when discovered, quietens and strengthens a person from the inside out. The second point is this, that people in the very same situations may have completely different experiences. Like eyewitnesses who report the same event and report it quite differently. It reminds me that we experience this life through different filters. Have you seen the short movie, the short film, The Cookie Thief? Well, you can look it up on YouTube. It's just delightful. It's based on a poem by Valerie Cox, and I believe it may have appeared in Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's an oldie but goodie, so I'm going to read it to you. A woman was sitting at an airport one night with several long hours before her flight. She hunted for a book in the airport shops, bought a bag of cookies, and found a place to drop. She was engrossed in her book, but happened to see that the man sitting beside her, as bold as could be, grabbed a cookie or two from the bag in between, which she tried to ignore to avoid a scene. So she munched the cookies and watched the clock as the gutsy cookie thief diminished her stock. She was getting more irritated as the minutes ticked by, thinking, if I wasn't so nice, I would blacken his eye. With each cookie she took, he took one too. When only one was left, she wondered what he would do. With a smile on his face and a nervous laugh, he took the last cookie and broke it in half. He offered her half as he ate the other, and she snatched it from him and thought, oh, brother, this guy has some nerve, and he's also rude. Why? He didn't even show any gratitude. She had never known when she had been so galled, and sighed with relief when her flight was called. And she gathered her belongings and headed to the gate, refusing to look back at the thieving ingrate. She boarded her plane and sank in her seat, and she sought her book, which was almost complete. As she reached in her baggage, she gasped with surprise. There was her bag of cookies in front of her eyes. If mine are here, she moaned in despair, the others were his, and he tried to share. Too late to apologize, she realized with grief that she was the rude one, the ingrate, the thief. I know. It's an oldie but goodie, and you can look up on YouTube beautiful video renditions of it, lovely to see. And the question is, why is it important? Because it reminds me that when it comes to reality, there is some flexibility. When it comes to interpreting this world, there is some flexibility. Apparently, we never stop being creative. Not with our opinions, not with our reactions, not with our points of view. Never. So when I do think that my joy is linked to something, I might be making it up. What if I'm making up a story? What if I could be just as connected to my joy without that story? Oh, joy, gratitude, thanksgiving, appreciation, love. What if they are not caused, but found, discovered, uncovered? Found because they already exist always. Found because they are there, here, all the time, ready to be tuned into and felt all the time, already in the room. Maybe the songwriters Susanna Clark and Richard Lee had it right when they wrote that song, Come from the Heart. You've got to sing like you don't need the money. You've got to dance like nobody's watching, and you've got to love like you'll never get hurt. You see, that brings it around. Step 3. We can get better at finding and feeling our gratitude, and the way we do that is through practice. Oh, and a good time to practice is when you're already feeling grateful. And a good time to practice is when you're not. You know, when things are not going according to plan. You know, like the Who's in Whoville at the end of the story of the Grinch who stole Christmas, when everything is stolen away and every dream is shattered and nothing is where it is supposed to be. They gather in the town square, they hold hands, and they sing. As long as we have hands to clasp, Christmas will be in our grasp. For me, when things aren't going exactly according to plan like I would want them. It's very easy for me to get sidetracked and forget the simple blessings of life and forget to bless life. I become myopic. When my mind is troubled, when politics have taken over my emotions, when my heart is aching, when my body is hurting, it's understandably difficult to connect with the joy that is always present. So I've learned at times like that to remind myself to make a list, physical or mental, of all of the things I appreciate, tangible and intangible, all of the things. The simplest things that show up regularly and selflessly, like my dog Cooper. Like my Kevin. Or like the people I ordinarily take for granted, like, the people I work with. Oh, it's so easy to slip into that. Or the miracles that fill up my life. So I've started my list. Electricity. Yeah. Clean water. Clouds. First responders. Freedom of speech. The right to marry. The ability to practice the religion of my choice. The kindness of strangers. The power of art, poetry, music, courage, the yearning of the human heart to know God, the power of love to connect and repair, the mystery of being alive on a small blue planet in the middle of nowhere, the invisible that connects us and flattens our differences into the nothingness. The healing power of right choices, empathy, consideration, beauty. See, my list is not complete yet. Oh, it's going to take a while. It's going to take some time. And just as criticism diminishes and destroys, appreciation and gratitude and thanksgiving magnifies and opens up and raises up. And like Maria says in The Sound of Music, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Well, it's not simple. It's intentional. And it's not about avoiding bad feelings. It's about redirecting and reconnecting to what is, connecting to a feeling of the depth and beauty of this life. Because this feeling is very important in the next step. And it's this, that forgiveness is what leads us back again to happiness and fulfillment. And that's the topic next week. Yeah. So I look forward to spending that day with you. So let us take a moment now to breathe in and to exhale as we each one of us in our own way recognize love as the foundation of all that is. I may be thinking of human love, but I'm adding to that thought a love that is beyond, bigger, larger, wider, an unconditional love. Because what I'm thinking about is the living Spirit Almighty, everywhere present, eternal, expansive, and inclusive, a living presence that I am identifying with through this spiritual mind treatment. And I'm identifying every single person here with that love. And I am aware that as I identify myself with that love, it awakens in me the realization that I am its agent in this world, that my own human love is an expression of its love through me, one and the same love really, and that I stand at the doorway eternally of an expansive, ever-increasing potential for giving that love, for feeling that love, for receiving it. And I am remembering its amazing transformative and healing powers, how it has in it the ability to do that which my mind alone cannot do. And so I let myself accept that. I am an agent of divine love. Oh, and that is worthy of celebrating. I'm filled with rejoicing at this thought, wondering where it will lead me, and I don't even know. But I know that it will. I will be led, because this is according to spiritual law. And that is why I release this word into the creative law of mind, so that it may be fulfilled through my living. And together we say, and so it is. I invite you now to take a breath in and to sigh.